Okay, perfect. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to 75 Her. Welcome to Create Her Fest. Thank you all for joining today. As usual, this is a safe, intentional space for women, gender expansive folks, and allies to discover, design, and deliver. As usual, you know me. My name is Darlise Calix. I am a software engineer, but also co-founder of Create Her Fest. And I will be hosting today, not facilitating, hosting. We have the amazing Marlinda who will be facilitating today. So, really excited to have her as well. As usual, if you know me, whether you know me or not, I keep it really super cash within the chat. And so, if you're seeing my face, it's very much a living room vibe. That's the vibe I like to keep within Create Her Fest. But essentially, if you're unfamiliar with Create Her Fest, oh, okay. I had to take a look at some of the notes here. But if you're unfamiliar with Create Her Fest exists to bridge the gender gap in tech through hands-on training in AI, AR, VR, blockchain, and emerging technologies. So our goal is that you leave with something that you can actually use. So moving away from just theoretical, moving away from, just being curious to actually building real hands-on training and learning with emerging technology. So before we dive in, just want to say that I'll be your host, keeping it on time, questions, making sure you have what you need. If you need any support at any point, just logistics wise, access wise, in terms of you just have questions or just a quick check in, feel free to reach out to me directly in the chat or any CHF Creator Fest staff member. Today, we have a couple of our volunteers in the chat supporting. We have Jasmine, amazing. We'll also have Moronike in the chat. And so if you have any questions at any point at all, just feel free to message us in the chat. Many of you have already messaged in the chat, so I know that you know how to use that, but I want to make sure that you know how to use the other tools at your disposal to kind of keep this engaging. So give me a couple hearts, give me a thumbs up, give me some confetti to let me know you know how to use the reactions. Excellent. Love to see it. Also, we do have a Q&A feature for questions if you have any questions that pop up during the presentation, during the workshop. So we'll either weave in those questions during the workshop or get to them at the end, just depending on what the question is. But to access that Q&A feature, if you're on the computer, which I highly recommend that you attend this workshop on the computer. If not, that's okay. But if you're on the computer, if you look down next to the chat, there is a meeting tools. It's sort of like a grid icon, but there is a meeting tools button. If you click on that, you'll see in tools, you'll see Q&A. So you can use that feature to ask any questions throughout the chat, and we'll weave that in throughout the presentation. Occasionally, you'll see a poll pop up on your screen. That's our way of kind of gauging the room and adjusting the pace and depth in real time. And honestly, right now, we'll try a quick poll because I want to know how we're feeling today, but I also want to know our experience with AI tools. So the poll is live now. So how often do you currently use AI tools? So that can be ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, etc. in your week. So let us know in the poll. That should have definitely popped up. Excellent. All right. So now that I know that you know how to use the poll, you know how to use the Q&A. Thank you so much for responding. One of the last things I want to mention is that if you are registered for the overall 75 Her program, just keep an eye on the chat. I will say, I think this time and workshops moving forward, I'll announce the quest word in the beginning just to make sure people have it. And so the quest word for today is sharper, like literally like sharper. And I'll type that in the chat as well. Boom. All right. I'll type that in the chat. And so use this word to submit your workshop attendee quest. This gets you on the leaderboard, gets you points. And I know you're wondering, like, why is the leaderboard even important? Well, the leaderboard is important, one, because it helps with engagement, but also it puts you in raffles for prizes. We want to definitely incentivize you for participating in this program. So, like I said, the quest word is sharper. Everything we're doing today is part of a larger 75-day builder journey, not a one-off event. So all workshops are recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube within 24 hours. We'll also share them in the Discord resources channel, along with any slides, links, templates, anything like that mentioned today. So if you're not in our Discord, highly recommend being in the Discord, because that's going to be the place that gets this kind of information first. And so if you're not in the Discord, please join. One of our volunteers will drop that in the link if you're not joined in the chat as well. And if you're not signed up for 75Her in general, it's not too late to join. And so definitely sign up for 75Her for the program in general. Okay, I've yapped a lot. I'm trying to keep it moving. Thank you all so much for attending. And I will pass it on over to Marlinda, our amazing, amazing facilitator, to introduce herself and get this workshop started. Give me some claps to welcome Marlinda on.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Darlise. And round of applause to everyone here who are here for themselves and present and consciously upskilling. In this day and age, with AI being everywhere, I think it's table stakes now. We definitely need to get on board and understanding AI, because there's just no going back. So I'm Marlinda. I'm a prompt engineer, conversation designer. My title keeps changing because the industry keeps changing their mind about what to call the role that I do. And a lot of my day-to-day work sits at the intersection of AI capability, human judgment, and decision-making. And I'm here today to show you how to think about AI, think with AI, and use AI as a thinking partner. AI, as you know, is fast and ever-changing and woven into a lot of what we do now. It shows up when you're sorting through messy async conversations, trying to make sense of a decision under time pressure, ideating, just trying to get something started so that you're not staring at a blank page. But really, all of that is useful. But what's changed is that the quality of what we do really depends on more and more on how we engage with AI and these tools. Not really just, basically just how to orient ourselves. So that's what we're gonna focus on today. Before we jump in, a quick note on how this session will work. We're gonna be doing a live FigJam session. I've never done this before, this format. So I'm gonna drop the link into the chat. Please hop in and participate. There will be exercises, and you don't have to. Participation is completely optional, but please jump in, try things live. It's great if you want to sit back, but definitely you'll get more value out of jumping in. So, oops, and I did not share my screen. Sorry. There you go. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Cool, thank you. So what you'll take away. So by the end of the hour, hopefully you should have a clearer way to turn fuzzy inputs into usable prompts as a way to improve your answers and your output without changing too many tools. And a simple way to notice when something's like off before you bring your ideas or what you build, what you vibe code into the real world. It's really just about keeping your thinking with you. And yeah, so like one thing AI is really good at, and tell me if I'm trying to slow down because I tend to talk fast. One thing AI is really good at is like sounding finished. You get an answer, it reads clean, it feels confident, and you move on. You just trust it. Speed is part of the value. However, as you've probably all heard, sometimes they can hallucinate, they make up things, or it's just really eager to be helpful. So this is where you have to come in with your clarity, good questions, and your perspective to really kind of not be skeptical, but just kind of poke and prod at the AI and be like, why did you say that? How did you come to this conclusion? So these 4 skills are, as I mentioned, clarity, questioning, perspective, and skepticism. We'll spend time on all 4 of them. Each one has their own exercise later on, and we'll put it together into one final exercise for your, putting it all together. Yes, sorry. Oops. My goodness. Yes, it's weird doing slides in FigJam. So next, so starting with clarity. Clarity is like usually where things either start to click or start drifting. Like AI reflects the structure of what you give it. So when the goal is clear, the output tends to be usable. But when the goal is open, it tends to sound really confident, but it doesn't really, it tends to wander off in directions you might not have wanted it to. There's a recent study out there saying that AI is not a good tool for ideation because it gives you just the most general things. And so if everyone is using it, their thesis was we will start to lose creativity and diversity in thought because AI is just giving everybody the same things over and over. I'd like to challenge that thinking because I think AI, if you give it a very general question, it's going to reach for the most common, the ones that it has the most data on. But when you start adding guardrails and other extra details, it can be very, very, very more like unique in the output that it gives you. And so here's a first exercise. You'll see that there is a little section down here for clarity. Please take this prompt and put it into your AI, and if you don't mind, copy pasting the results that you get here. It'd be interesting to see, and there's no, doesn't matter what model you want to use. It'd be really interesting to see how the same question gives us like either the same or different results. Sorry, feel free to copy the one in the blue box. Yeah, the slide isn't copy pastable.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I'll do it too, actually. Examples are general on purpose. We'll see. Oh, oops. Yeah, I need a bigger space. Feel free to make screenshot, actually. Maybe we can make the screenshot smaller. Thank you for your flexibility and for participating. Oh, look at that. I like that Claude asked first, like, wait, I can't give you ideas yet. You didn't tell me what your app was about.
I'll also drop the prompt in the chat for anyone who,
oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Just to make it a little, there we go. Yeah.
This is great. As you can see, like different people, same prompt, and yet we all get kind of different results. I wonder if I can make everything bigger. Oh, no. Trying to adjust a workshop board in the middle of a... Maybe I can. Oh, goodness. Oh, I like that really long one someone just pasted right now. I'd be so curious to read that. I just made more room up above. Feel free to adjust. So sorry. Okay, I think that's a good enough, that's a good start. Taking a look at this. Wow, look at that. Ooh, I love this. Interesting. Isn't it interesting how different these are? Hey, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about the next ones. We have a few more exercises to go through. The next skills is questioning. Again, broad questions invites the whole everything, whereas precise questions tend to produce answers that actually work with, like, what is it? Basically, yeah, we want to be more precise with the way that we ask questions, because then it'll start to be more creative in the way that it outputs things. And so the next prompt is, should we build a dark mode for the mobile app? Consider some of these other questions underneath it to add, or consider this as an alternative. So don't take the, should we build a dark mode for the mobile app? I should have wrote the other ones beneath it as an easy copy paste. It's not, sorry. Try typing in one of these questions after your first question. So yes.
I'll type some of them in the chat too for easy copy paste.
Thank you.
Easier.
These are great. I'm gonna move this aside real quick. I'm gonna extend the things we have at the bottom. And I'm revealing, ignore what I'm doing. I should be playing music. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I see a question. Should we engage the AI as well, or only post the prompts without follow-up?
Let's post the prompts without follow-up first. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So for reframing the questions, like, I have some categories: data-driven angle, engineering constraints, or competitive positioning. And these constraints point the model towards, like, a different kind of decision and direction. And And you want to make sure that how you reframe the question is like aligned to your goals, your values, and the direction that you want to take things. I'm loving like seeing how your AI talks to you. And I'm going to do one where it just says, the one that I just pasted in was, no, I didn't have a angle. So this is just plain, should I build a dark mode app? And you can compare and see how all of yours are coming out a little more with a different angle. It gets you thinking in different ways. So I'm gonna move on. Thank you for that. I'm gonna move on to the next one, which is perspective. So AI doesn't like really give you a single neutral truth. It gives you an answer shaped by the framing and context. And there's also the way we tend to phrase questions. It could be leading questions as well. So we got to think about the where is the bias in our own questions. The angle that you choose is influences what shows up. So, for example, a client is pushing for significant scope creep without additional budget, right? Think about these other lenses that you can add to your prompts that you want to be able to create. Client value, relationship value, internal resourcing, precedent setting, ethical boundaries, or long-term positioning. All same situation, different angles. And it's not about what angle is right, but it's what angle changes what you want to do next. So same thing. First part of the prompt is this top one, and then pick a scenario.
And just to be clear, we're picking a scenario, like choosing like either client relationship value or one of the others in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
as we're walking through this, I realize I now have some feedback. It'd probably be easier if I had this in there for you guys. Apologies. Oh, I'm looking at the comments. Nova, Ariana. I love that.
I forgot, like, it's my LLM is reading, like, context from other chats, and I was like, "Wait, why are you mentioning other projects?"
Oh no. It tends to, and that's another thing to consider when working with AI. I think ChatGPT has a feature where you can create folders that doesn't read context in other memory, or in like outside of it.
Yeah, I'm using Gemini, which doesn't seem to have that for whatever reason. Mm-hmm.
And then Claude doesn't have memory either, the way that ChatGPT does.
Interesting. And for anyone else following along, I did post the prompt in the chat for easier copy paste if that helps.
Thank you so much, Darlise.
Mm-hmm.
Not rushing anyone if you're still working on it, but the last one is skepticism. And by skepticism is just I want to remind everyone not to blanket trust everything that the AI spits out. It sounds, just look at these results that we're getting. It's so detailed and you're just like, yeah. Like, I mean, I find myself nodding and agreeing and like, this is really great. But always remember to, at the end of it, question the AI itself with just asking it, how did you come to your conclusion? Things like, what assumptions have you made? And what did you leave out? Things like that. I see Darlise has already added the questions in the chat. Darlise, in the chat, sometimes when I question Claude asking if it's true, it says, you know what, you're right for questioning. I was completely wrong. And it's actually, yes, I saw a meme earlier, well, not earlier, a while ago. It was a picture of a guy looking at the AI saying, yes, this mushroom is safe to eat. And then the next screen is the guy's in the hospital. And the guy goes back to his AI and says, it was actually poisonous. And of course the AI says, you're right. Oh, we want to prevent that. Always verify. Yes. I'm seeing lots of comments with people talking about how our AI seems to really just compliment us. How do you all feel about that? Ooh, Sarah's asking recommended best practices to verify. I guess it's it would depend on like your particular use case. Health things, I would go to a doctor, like, or search medical journals out there. Reviewing companies, I think that's try to find the, I know I trust it a lot, but I still sometimes like to do a quick search on the internet just to make sure. Oh. Juliana, I'm going to send the link to the FigJam again. Feel free to follow, like take any of the prompts above, copy paste this prompt and put it in that section. Definitely Perplexity is strong for research and review. That's definitely its strength. Does anybody talk to Grok? No. The only thing I find that it does well, because it's connected to X, is just, let me get a pulse check on what people are saying about this. But yeah, for anything else, no. Look at this one. The step I compressed too quickly. The gracious clarity with options recommendation. I made it sound clean, but this is actually the hardest part. Gosh. The assumption I didn't name. Several, actually. These are great. These are so good. Do we feel we're ready to move on, or do you guys want to continue looking at your results, getting your results? Okay. I'm gonna delete this, fix my formatting here, got moved. Ooh, interesting. Follow this one. Okay, so I hope you all got a little bit from that, saw the differences in the way that your model, your chosen model, gave you answers and how it pivoted depending on how you added guardrails after that. So this is your quality checklist. You don't need every single one every time, like that. Just basically, definitely just pick the ones that you think you need to go for in your use case. But ask things like, what's it assuming? What friction is missing? What decision does this nudge me towards? Like always, always question, and always, always verify. For our last, before we move into our last exercise for putting it all together, did anybody have any questions?
And feel free to drop any questions in the chat, or we keep it super casual. We keep it super casual at CreateHER Fest. So if you want to come off mic and like make a note or ask a question, definitely feel free.
Feel free to use this one at the bottom. I made it easy, copy paste easy here. Actually, did I lose one? I think I lost one somewhere. This is the first one. And you'll see that a lot of these exercises are sort of the same. It's just we need to basically build those questioning muscles. And I didn't have a place for you guys to put it, which is, feel free to drop it in this right here. But basically, like AI follows your point of view. You start with something basic, your first instinct of like what it is that you want, and you build on it. Give the prompt more shape. And then continue to refine from there. So, for example, for this particular use case, from the perspective of a new hire, or from the perspective of a team lead managing burnout. We've all been, I feel like in the beginning, I was definitely prompting like just very basic, not basic, but very minimal things. And I found that through constant iteration and trying to think outside of my own point of view and trying to put in other people's point of view, I was able to get more value, if that makes sense.
Yeah, how do you step away from using, because I know for a lot of people, their intro into using these kind of tools is kind of using it almost like a Google search. Like they just like, what is this? How do I do that? How do we move on from that?
That's a really good question. I think first it's exercises like this, like getting into the tool and kind of getting over the weird feeling that you get when you're like, I'm talking to a machine. Like, wait, like you said, what is this, right? And I think what really helps for me, for example, is focusing on my goals. So I first used AI to actually understand myself deeper. Then I was like, okay, now I know what direction I want to go to. I know what I don't want. And that helped me to really kind of get out of like this little pigeonhole of like, I don't know, I guess limbo of thinking, if that makes sense.
That's a good point. I had to start thinking about, like you said, like the goals that I needed, but also who I was talking to. It's weird to kind of put it in that framework of like, who am
Yeah,
I talking to? Because you're talking to a machine.
right.
But what I realized is like, oh, if I don't give it who to be, the answer will be, I think, more general than I
Yes.
want it to be. So I was like, okay, if I need it to help me, for instance, I use it for like project management. If I needed to help me with project management, I need it to know that it's a project manager so it
Yeah.
can speak from that point of view or
Right.
that expertise.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Read this report from the lens of a VP who's extremely skeptical and will put you down at every turn. Fill in like, make sure this argument is airtight for that person, and then reverse it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You are now Darlise. You're an engineer, and this is your perspective. Build this summary, like, and then just role playing yourself.
Yeah, it's basically you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, guys. It's basically D&D. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I'm curious. Give me a thumbs up if you've ever used any of these tools, but the voice feature. Because I know for me, I get pretty into obviously the text, but maybe I'm curious if you can put your mind set towards like actually having a conversation with it or actually ideating and brainstorming if you're talking to it. So I see that we got a lot of thumbs up. Put in the chat like what your experience was using voice and how maybe it differs from text. I'm curious.
In my experience, the content is different. It's more conversational. And
Mm.
I forget which one, but there was one that sighed at me. Like I asked a question and it went, ah, well, just like, excuse me.
Oh, not you
I,
being frustrated.
I don't know how I feel about that, about like adding very human habits into a
Yeah.
model that doesn't really think.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's so wild. I saw one video once. The AI sneezed, and then the person was like, "Did you just sneeze?" And then it gaslit her by saying, "No, I didn't." And I'm like, "No, we all heard." It was so weird. It's so bizarre.
Oh my gosh, that's weird. That is weird. Um,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, boundaries. Don't want our voices to be trained. Yeah, yeah.
ooh, yeah, that part.
Mhm.
Oh, but at the same time, our voices are now going to be on YouTube. Anybody can take it and put it in a bot. Like
It's
at this
true.
point, I don't. Sometimes, like, yeah, I want privacy, but our information is already out there. I don't know anymore.
Pros and cons, pros and cons.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll do like I'll transcribe, like I'll go into a Google Doc and like just transcribe my voice, there, and then I'll copy and paste everything I just said and then put that into like an LLM if I'm really feeling like I don't know about this. But at this point, I'm like my voice is all over YouTube and Instagram,
right. Anybody can
wherever.
take it now and train
And
whatever sound
that would be
model.
really weird. I can't imagine how it feels to hear your own voice, in a product. Because I actually was listening to NPR a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Wait, I've heard this particular voice in Google's Notebook LM, like their AI podcast. Like it's the same voice, the same mannerisms. It's so
Yeah,
interesting."
yeah. I like to use the voice feature though when I'm practicing like a talk, so that I can hear. And you know how people like to talk to I've heard of what is it? People talking to their animals or an imaginary audience. And so it's a good way to hear yourself speaking out loud. I think that's one use case for it that I see that
That's
is
really
useful.
cool. Yeah.
But okay, we have 10 more minutes. I didn't realize the time. This was really fun reading everybody's results that they're getting. I hope you guys are seeing how you can change the result of your prompt by just tweaking it just a little, the role and the angle that you're looking at things. And so to close it off, since we are in Learnathon right now, and I know you guys will be in Ideathon I forget, Darlise, how soon that is, the schedule. But yeah, you'll soon be in the Ideathon phase of CreateHER Fest. I'm going to leave you with this last prompt that you can use to help give you some ideas and kind of jumpstart like what it is that you're going to be creating. Thank you for joining us. Last is a prompt muscle cheat sheet, and let's connect on LinkedIn, which let me add my LinkedIn here.
This is fun. Yeah, give some applauses, give some thumbs up in the chat if we enjoyed. I always like a nice like hands-on. Let's see what this technology actually does kind of workshop. And it was really interesting to see the differences in the responses, and it's
Yeah, and the
even
models, right?
yeah, and the models, like even with the same LLM, that's actually really interesting to see. And then I
Yeah.
know someone else had already like kind of pre-trained or built their GPT, and so like that definitely changes how it'll go about responses. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
dropping my LinkedIn profile right there. Would love to connect. And yeah, did anyone have any other questions or comments? Feel free to come off mute.
Yeah. While people are, probably thinking about their questions, one question that I have for you while people are thinking, and or typing, in terms of like your role and how you use AI day to day, what has been the most convenient part of these kind of tools for you? Like what has helped you out a lot or made your workflow faster? And what has been really annoying?
Ooh, what has really helped me? So I'm neurodivergent, and sometimes I get stuck with like that, looking at a blank page and I don't know where to go next. And so I use AI to first I start with I'm overwhelmed and here's my task. Help me like break it down to the most first easiest task I can wrap my mind around. And it has helped. And in this world where everyone's like moving 10x faster because of AI, people with like neurodivergence are like feeling, sometimes I feel like a little left behind, or like I have this fear that I'm going to get left behind if I don't get caught up on with everyone. So that's how I've used AI to help me. And your second question is like what has been the most frustrating? Let me think on that. I think there are times where I catch it in a hallucination. I think that's where it's just like, that's not real. It tried to tell me that blueberries was like high, what is it? High spice your blood sugar. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's the lowest. Like it's got the lowest sugar. And it's like, you're right. You know, just that. Like sometimes you still have like, you want to trust it. It's giving you a lot of good ideas, but you can't. Like always remembering that you can't trust it. Yeah.
That's a good point. I saw Hafsa raised her hand, so I'll let her come up and ask her question. But also, I fixed the bug. I fixed the error, guys, that made this workshop not show up in the feedback survey. So please, please, please fill out a feedback survey. I would really, really appreciate it if you did. I dropped the link in the chat, but one of the volunteers, if you want to drop it again, please do so. But Hafsa, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlinda. Very nice workshop. So I actually have two questions. I'll try to frame it properly. So first one is something that I've come across recently with, there's a lot of discussion going on from the AI skeptics. So the growth with the AI models has been exponential. It's not in terms of years or months, it's in weeks and days.
Yes.
So what I've been hearing from them and their point of view is that the training model has already been exhausted in terms of code, in terms of healthcare data that's out there, in terms of all the research papers. So the exponential growth that we've seen now is going to taper off and kind of become like a plateau. What is your point of view on that? That's a question number one. And number two is, how important is to define personas whenever you're approaching a problem?
Ooh, that first one. Yes, at this rate, if we are not, this is my own personal opinion, not building these models. If we are not putting original content out there and evolving ourselves, it's going to start eating itself. I would say all the content in say LinkedIn, for example, is probably AI generated now. And now the models are going to be trained on its own output. And so it's just going to eat itself. And how do we prevent that? I think I'm actually really excited because of these AI skeptics. We're in a place now where collectively together we can be like, no, we don't want that. Let's start a movement. Let's fix. It's a multi-phase thing. I think education has to be aware of it, and we need to put people in the AI space are the ones who needs to help everyone else understand what the guardrails are, and it needs to be implemented in schools. It needs to be implemented in parenting techniques, therapy. I don't know, in all the places where there are human interactions, definitely. And people need to continue creating new content out there. That way, not new content, sorry, being human. Let's just put it simply. Like, I think there's just too much AI out there right now. And I hope that this new phase we're in kind of gets us questioning, well, if this is AI, what does it mean to be human? And start moving towards that direction and putting more of that out there. And your second question was, how important is it to give a AI a persona when you're doing your work? Extremely important. That actually ties into everything that we did today, right? Having that angle and giving it that perspective so that you can think from the lens of someone who's going to read, like a client who's going to read your proposal or a partner who's going to work with you on that proposal, you got to think of all the perspectives that you're working on, so that AI can help you kind of cover maybe the gaps that you haven't thought about. Hopefully that answered your question.
I'll add a little bit on to the second question about personas and how important they are. So, and I'll preface with like an example, building applications with AI, right? So asking it to build a feature from a very general point of view is going to give a very different output in terms of security, in terms of how like sturdy the application is. And so it won't be able to mitigate certain risks if it doesn't know, or if it doesn't know to be someone that would think about those risks. So for instance, building an application, you have your front end, you have your back end, you have your databases, you have, your design. And so if it doesn't know to think about testing, if it doesn't like stress testing or testing out the certain features, validation, then it's not going to do that. And so you're creating a sort of flimsy product that, yeah, it'll probably function. Technically, yes, it'll probably function, but it may not necessarily know to think about all of those things. Now, there are some I would say LLMs that are a little bit better about assuming, but I wouldn't go into it thinking that it will assume. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then the other response to that is also the other thing that's important apart from the persona is context, the information that it already is privy to prior to whatever you're building, whatever you're trying to do. So it's going to be a lot easier for it to assume certain things or do certain things if it already has majority of the information that it needs. Does it have the requirements? Does it have your brand document? Does it have your brand voice? And this is stuff that you can, use an LLM or use some of these tools to create. But that kind of goes into the creativity part of it. And so sometimes I like to use it as more as like, all right, ask me questions to help you, have the context. I'll answer it. I'll do all the creative work of actually answering, coming up with the idea. We'll create like a PRD, like our product requirements document, and all of that, and then we'll upload it. If you're using Claude, then you can upload it to your project base and XYZ. And so it's always going to pull from that information, which will make it a lot more true throughout the entire process of building. So hopefully that also adds some context as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. Everyone take note of that last one example that Darlie said. Ask me questions to be able to give, so that you can give me better. Like that's another way to, like, if you can't think of a question or an angle, that's a good place to start. Ask me some questions so that you can be more detailed in your response.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone can like raise their hand. Once again, reminding people, if you haven't filled out the survey, please do. It helps me know how we did. It helps Marlinda know how she did when we give out like our impact reports and everything like that. We want to continue to provide this kind of programming as well, but drop them in the chat or feel free to come off mic. All right, I won't force you. It's not by force. Definitely not. But I want to say thank you all for attending for sure. And thank you, Marlinda, for this amazing workshop. This was absolutely amazing. We will have this recording up on YouTube as well. But if you haven't joined the Discord, that's going to be the place where it shows up first before we send out the email. But we'll send out the FigJam as well if you want to, play around with those prompts and look over the material a lot more. And we'll also, as usual, I've been doing this kind of like homework assignment thing with our 75 her quests, but I'll also do a quest. I'll publish a quest for you all to test out your prompting skills. Prompting is my bread and butter. So, I'm about to ask y'all some questions. Y'all about to really get into it with what we learned today. So I'm excited for that. Next week, I don't think it's up on our event calendar yet, but next week we will have, I think, one workshop around ethics. I think that's next week's workshop, if I'm not mistaken. If not, no, it's around cross-functional teams and collaboration. So as we're gearing up for the next phase, February 9th is going to be the ideathon. And so if you've been really enjoying learning and you're really wanting to get into like, okay, I think I'm ready to start thinking about building now. Now's definitely going to be the time. So we're going to build teams, but we're also going to think about what it means to create a team and how to use these tools that we're learning about to fill in the gaps for things you may not necessarily have on your team. So maybe you're 3 developers and you don't have a designer necessarily, you didn't have time to find one, how to use these tools to kind of help you in that design. Vice versa, if you need like a developer or something that's good at, creating pitches and decks, kind of help you, create your script for your demo as well. We're going to talk about that, as well as like how to work with multiple time zones. I don't want you to think that you can't work with teams or teammates that are in different time zones than you, because honestly, in this industry, in the tech industry, many times you're going to work with people who are in different time zones. And so it's good to think about that now and already have that skill, if you don't have that skill yet, how to work asynchronously as well. So look out for that. Subscribe to our event calendar, join our Discord, sign up for 75Her. Like I said, if you haven't yet, really excited for these next phases. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I yapped a ton. Thank you all so much. Give yourself some like confetti, some claps for today's workshop. Thank you for showing up. Super proud of you all. I'm excited to see again what you all build throughout this journey. Look out for a follow-up email, probably in the next couple of hours as well. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.